Knight Rider won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Xanadu.
Oh, baby.
Wow, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Look, some people say Xanadon't, but not me. I really love this movie. I loved it as a kid. I had not seen it as an adult.
Yeah, in a long time, yeah.
I literally have not seen it since probably it came
You
out.
were like 8
Yeah.
or 11 or
8,
whatever.
8 or 9 or 10, I don't know. Somewhere around there.
I had never seen Xanadu because I saw one still frame from this movie, and I thought it was a science fiction movie.
Well, in a way it is. It is. It's an unapologetic, super happy, fun movie with very little conflict, very little acting.
That was the best part. About an hour into it, I turned to Jim and I was like, so is the last half an hour just them skating and dancing and being good? Because there's and he's like, conflict? No conflict?
Yeah. There's a little bit. But
It's not until the last 20 minutes when Zeus is like, you got to come back.
Well, Muse has got a muse.
Yeah.
Look, let's be honest. It's not a great movie.
No.
A lot of people don't like it. It has become a cult hit, and rightly so, because it is a fun movie to watch. It is a great movie to get together with your friends, maybe eat a couple of edibles, have some tequila sunrises, some colorful, fun drink. Or like you were saying yesterday, throw it on in the background of a party. It's really colorful.
Gathering,
There's great music.
Yeah.
ELO is one of my all-time favorite bands, so I love the music.
Yeah. Yeah, you're guaranteed if you throw it on a party that eventually someone's going to sit and just watch it.
Yeah, because it's whack. It's like
it's so bizarre.
It's like the graphical fidelity of Tron mixed in with a pseudo roller disco movie.
Everyone's so glowy. It's so great.
It's a perfect. I was telling this to Adam yesterday. It's a perfect transition movie from like 79 to 80 because it still has some of the tropes of the 70s, the disco-y kind of stuff, the roller skates. But we're starting to see the 80s fashion and hairdos.
So much. It's surprising because it was it was early 80s, but it definitely harkened to all of that bizarre 80s stuff that came up.
It is basically the moment when cocaine took over Hollywood, and you could see a cocaine-fueled production.
Oh my God.
Xanadu is just ripe.
I
Coke ideas.
Felt like I was on coke during the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, a lot of bad choices were made.
All right, well, take yourself back to 1980.
Yeah.
January, the Dark Phoenix saga begins in X-Men number 129 by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Terry Austin. It culminates with issue number 138 in October and the death of a founding member of the X-Men.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I want to say, I think at that point it's the first time that one of the major characters had died, but I honestly wasn't reading comics back then. So
Which one died?
Jean Grey.
Oh.
She became the Dark Phoenix.
Oh, just like in those movies.
That's based on the Dark Phoenix saga.
Right.
Yeah. February 22nd, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark releases their first self-titled studio album featuring a cover design by Peter Saville, who had designed album covers for Joy Division, amongst others.
Oh, OMD is so good.
The OMD album featured 100 die-cut diamonds on the front, allowing the orange inner sleeve to be seen, losing the studio money on every album, despite the album selling thousands of copies.
Well, you can't put real diamonds on the cover and expect to make money.
Yeah, well,
People would buy the album and then just pop off the diamonds and smell them.
Smell them,
and then sell them.
Yeah. It's a really cool looking album cover, but
If you leave, I won't cry.
OMD's so good.
I won't shed a single tear.
They're one of those bands that I know their music, but I don't really know anything about them.
Same, but I love them. They're like, it's Joy Division, OMD, and New Order.
Yeah, Joy Division became the New Order. Didn't one of the
lead singer died. Yeah, I think he committed suicide.
Oh, really?
There's a great movie about that, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I love 80s music, and I know so little about the actual bands and stuff.
Well, the bands were all Creep City. There was always weird stuff going on with them.
August 1st, Vigdis Finnbogadóttir becomes the 4th president of Iceland, the world's first democratically directly elected female president.
Nice.
1980. That's how far ahead Iceland is from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And on August 8th, just a week later, Xanadu is released in theaters.
Nice.
Xanadu started as a way to cash in on the roller disco craze of the 70s.
Roller boogie.
Yeah.
Ooh, ow, ow.
Roller Boogie was released in 1979, starring Linda Blair. And despite being lambasted by critics, it made over $13 million from a $1.5 million budget.
People love to skate, man.
They love to watch people skate to disco.
Couple skate.
Yeah.
That was big time when you would go to the skating
Did you
rink.
do a lot of skating rink stuff when you were growing up?
Yeah, of course. That was like, we had like lots of, everything was about skating or bowling or whatever back then. We didn't have a lot to do. But I remember, man, couple skate.
Yeah.
Big deal. You had to find somebody to skate
partner,
with. And if
yeah.
you didn't get in the couple skate, you were a loser.
You were a big old fat loser with your skates sitting on the side, not skating.
Stupid.
The other skate movie was called Skate Town, USA, which was also released in 1979, starring Scott Baio, Flip Wilson, Maureen McCormick, Ron Polillo, Ruth Buzzy, Sidney Lassick, Billy Barty, and Playboy centerfold model Dorothy Stratton.
So Scott Baio was Chachi. Flip Wilson, hilarious comedian who had a lot of fuzzles. He did his female character, Geraldine. The devil made me do it. Hilarious. Maureen McCormick, of course, was in Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
As Marcia, I think, right?
That sounds right.
Marcia. And Ron Polillo was Horshack
Oh.
in Welcome Back, Kotter. Mr. Kotter.
Welcome back, Quata.
I don't know. Remember, he had a weird laugh. Ruth Buzzy, of course, great comedian. Sidney Lassick, I don't know. Billy Barty, he was the little guy. He was a little person.
He was the little guy actor before Warwick Davis.
Yeah, well, he was in everything.
Yeah,
he was. My favorite Billy Barty performance is in Foul Play.
Yeah.
Because he plays this salesman, and Goldie Hawn gets this like warning about a dwarf or a little man coming after him, and then poor Billy Barty is just this guy trying to sell her something, and she destroys him. and it's just he played victim so incredibly well. It was just such a hard. It was. I can't wait till we do Foul Play.
Okay,
But Billy
yeah,
Barty has
same,
always been a favorite of mine. He's hilarious.
Yeah. And then, of course, Dorothy Stratton was murdered.
Yeah, by her husband.
Yeah.
Star 80 is a really good movie. I think Peter Bogdanovich was that.
Yeah. Yes, he
directed
did
it?
Star 80, yeah. Patrick Swayze was actually in it. He played the leading role as the skater Ace, and it was his first movie performance.
Yeah, he looked surprised the whole time.
Joel Silver and Lawrence Gordon, as independent producers, set up the movie, Xanadu. Lawrence Gordon was the worldwide head of production at American International Pictures until 1973, when he left to produce movies on his own.
AIP.
They're all over the 70s. He had two big hits in 1978 with dark comedy The End and Hooper, both starring Burt Reynolds.
Hooper. The End is really funny. It's a really weird dark comedy.
I have never seen The End, but after reading about it, it's high on my list.
Oh, yeah. Burt Reynolds goes into a mental hospital and wants to kill himself. And Dom DeLuise is in the mental hospital. He's a kooky dukes. And he enlists him to kill him. And then, hilarity ensues. And then he doesn't want to die, but he still tries to kill him. And it's just like an entire movie of Inspector Clouseau and Kato going at it, basically. But it's really funny.
Dom DeLuise popping out of a closet trying to murder
pretty
him.
much. And then Hooper, man. I just saw that in the theater recently.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right.
At Tarantino's.
Oh, the New
theater.
Beverly.
The New Beverly, yeah.
Yeah.
Hooper, man, is one of my favorites. It's just such a silly movie about stuntmen with Burt Reynolds and Jan Michael Vincent is the new kid in town.
Yeah.
And it's got show favorite Uncle Beale from Meteor. The old guy, the guy that played the Russian general in Meteor.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Names.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to even try to remember. But yeah, it's back when Burt Reynolds did all of these just fun comedies with his friends. Burt Reynolds was basically the first Adam Sandler.
Yes.
He would get together with all his buddies.
It's like, hey, let's go make a movie.
Yeah, we're gonna go drive.
Anybody got any ideas?
Yeah, let's do Cannonball Run. We'll just drive around in cool cars.
Yeah. I got access to this mental asylum. Let's go shoot a movie there.
Yeah. Anyway, I love Burt Reynolds. The 70s Burt Reynolds is the best.
Yeah. Joel Silver had been producing TV specials throughout the 70s, and Lawrence Gordon let him take the lead on Xanadu. It was his first big project.
Wow, it's crazy because Silver ended up being one of the most consequential producers of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Every action movie. And
some of the most significant action movies of the 80s.
Lethal Weapon series.
Was all behind it. Yeah. The production originally was slated to have a $4 million budget, but grew as bigger names were attached to the project.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the roller disco craze was already fading as quickly as it had risen. A huge backlash against disco was sweeping the country. In July 1979, the Chicago White Sox had a Disco Demolition Night promotion, allowing you to get in with a discounted ticket price if you brought a disco album.
Yeah, disco became...
It was
hated.
It was the first thing I feel like in our generation that everyone just collectively was like, nope.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done.
We're done.
Yeah. The disco albums were destroyed in between games of a doubleheader in a giant explosion. And as soon as it exploded, fans immediately rushed the field and a riot ensued, injuring upwards of 30 people.
Yeah, people are dumb.
Yeah. Well, it's baseball. That's baseball for you, Jim.
All right. I thought baseball was pretty boring.
It is. This is why they were so excited. There's a giant explosion. They didn't know how to handle it.
Something finally happened.
Due to the waning popularity of roller disco, the movie evolved into trying to be more than a roller skating movie, leading to the weaving in of the plot of the 1947 film Down to Earth, starring Rita Hayworth in the Greek muse role and Larry Parks as the stage producer.
All right.
It's literally the exact same plot. He meets a muse, and then they open up a theater, and yeah.
Okay.
Richard Christian Danis and Mark Reed Rubel were given screenwriting credit, but for all intents and purposes, the script was never technically finished for the film.
Really? Surprise, surprise.
It was Danis' first film, and Rubel had one screenwriting credit with the 1978 teen comedy Almost Summer, starring actors in their late 20s, produced by Motown Productions, who produced The Wiz.
Wasn't that like the first teen comedy movie?
Yes. Yeah, it was the first one that kind of was like a teen comedy. Although all the actors were so old.
Yeah.
It was so obvious.
They did that back then.
Apparently, the writers had a hard time staying on task. Joel Silver held one of his screenwriters for 3 days against his will.
The son of a bitch wouldn't deliver, so I locked him in.
Yeah.
That used to be legal back then, I guess.
The script was rewritten so many times before and during production that entire plot points were left out of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier versions of the story established that Sonny was the artist who created the mural from which the 9 goddess sisters emerge.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, that creates more problems than it needed to.
I can see it both ways. I mean...
Because it's like, how did he not remember painting her?
Right. I agree. I think the way it ended up was fine. I think it makes more sense, especially given that most of the movie doesn't really make sense, so it works out.
Yeah.
This provided a much stronger explanation for the muse's interest in helping him achieve artistic success. However, continual rewrites and editing during production caused this plot point to be lost, except for one line spoken by Sonny as he laments his failure as a freelance artist.
I paint his van. I paint somebody else's mural.
That was a very spot-on Michael Beck. That was
Thanks. Poor Michael Beck.
As the movie grew, so did the budget, ballooning to upwards of $13 million.
Good Lord.
Too much. Universal was agitated with the budget increases, so they fired Joel Silver from the movie.
Just remember, folks, Star Wars cost $3 million.
Yeah.
Star Wars,
yeah. Silver then immediately went to work for Lawrence Gordon and his independent production company, who immediately put him back on Xanadu.
Nice. It's just like those kids that got voted out, that got kicked out of the...
It's like, guess what?
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Silver hired Robert Greenwald to direct the movie. The name might sound familiar, as around 2002, he turned to executive producing political documentaries, starting with 3 known as the Un-trilogy. Unprecedented, the 2000 presidential election in 2002, Uncovered, the whole truth about the Iraq War in 2003, which Greenwald also directed, and Unconstitutional, the war on our civil liberties in 2004. I don't know if you've seen any of these or not.
No, is he, what's his political flavor? Is he right wing, left wing?
Oh, no, he's very progressive. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's much more left wing. He has a company called Brave New Films, but all he does now is political stuff.
Good for him.
Yeah, Greenwald has earned 25 Emmy Award nominations, 2 Golden Globe nominations, the Peabody Award, and the Robert Wood Johnson Award. He was awarded the 2002 Producer of the Year Award by the American Film Institute.
Wow.
But when he was hired to direct Xanadu, he had only had 1 Emmy nomination for producing the television movie 21 Hours at Munich about the massacre at the 1972 Olympics.
Okay.
Greenwald is the son of Harold Greenwald, a noted psychotherapist who pioneered a variation on rational emotive behavior therapy called direct decisions therapy.
And he just screamed, "Make a decision!" What is it?
Just in your face.
Yeah. He'd be like, "What? Peanut butter or ham? Make a decision!" Your children or your husband? Make a decision!
He was an expert on the psychology of prostitution and authored a dissertation on call girls that became a best-selling book and movie, the 1960 film Girl of the Night, starring Anne Francis and featuring Lloyd Nolan as psychotherapist.
Honey, it's research. I don't want to keep seeing these prostitutes, but it's research for my book.
I have to.
I gotta know what it's like.
Robert Greenwald started his career directing stage plays in New York, then moved to California in 1972, working as the theater director at the Mark Taper Forum.
I've been there.
Yeah. His most notable work was directing I Have a Dream in 1976, a play based on the life of Martin Luther King Jr., with Billy D. Williams playing Martin Luther King.
These last few weeks, I've realized that Billy D. Williams was a much bigger star than I thought he was.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of stuff.
He did a lot of stuff, yeah.
Most people just remember him from being Lando Calrissian or the Colt 45 malt liquor.
But both of those eclipsed everything else he did. And that was,
it's
which
crazy.
is not a bad thing.
He played Martin Luther
yeah.
King. He played in Lady Sings the Blues. He played, I forget, some other historic character.
Yeah,
But he was in everything. He was in all the Motown movies.
Did he play Scott Joplin?
I think so.
I think it was him, yeah.
That guy had such a career.
Yeah. And then he became known as the black guy in Star Wars.
Yeah. Hey, Chewbacca.
Greenwald directed 3 TV movies before directing Xanadu. Sharon, Portrait of a Mistress in 1977, starring Trish Van Devere.
Maybe got his dad's help on that one.
Yeah. Katie, Portrait of a Centerfold in 1978, starring Kim Basinger.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here, some portrait patterns.
And Flatbed Annie and Sweetie Pie, Lady Truckers in 1979, starring Annie Potts, Kim Darby, and Harry Dean Stanton.
What a great cast. I'm kind of interested about seeing that.
Flatbed Annie and Sweetie Pie, Lady Truckers is available on YouTube if you want to watch it.
I think I do.
It sounds amazing. It looks really... the stuff I saw, it looked amazing. In 1984, Greenwald would direct The Burning Bed, the most-watched TV movie of all time, earning another Emmy Award nomination.
Yeah, starring Farrah Fawcett, and it completely changed her career.
Yeah.
It was the first time people were taking her seriously. It was The Burning Bed is a really tough play. It's one of the first plays about domestic abuse.
Right.
And this woman is abused to the point where she burns her husband.
Lights her husband on fire.
In the bed. I don't know if it's based on a true story. It's probably based on a lot of true stories.
Yeah. Regardless, it is. Yeah.
It's a good play. I've seen it a couple of times. I had a friend who starred in it. It was so weird because the friend was such a weenie man. And then when he did this play, it was like, damn, dude.
You're not a weenie man anymore. Yeah. Wow.
It was very impressive.
Good actor. Yeah.
He was. It was an impressive perforance.
So
it turned out to be kind of not a great person, but
well, okay then.
But he was really impressive in that part.
Great. So casting, Olivia Newton-John was cast as Kira, also known as Terpsichore. She was the muse. Before starring in Grease, Olivia Newton-John made her name as a recording artist. She was born in England, but her family emigrated to Australia when she was 5. She started acting in high school and the following year started singing. Newton-John combined these two passions in 1970 when she was recruited for the group Tomorrow, formed by American producer Don Kirshner.
Spelled T-O-O.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Which is weird because what is it? It's like U2 tomorrow? I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
Australians.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah. In 1970, the group starred in a science fiction musical film and recorded an accompanying soundtrack album on RCA Records. Both the LP and the movie were named after the group.
So it's Tomorrow?
The movie is literally called Tomorrow.
I want to see that.
It's considered to be the first space musical.
All right.
Yeah. That same year, the group made 2 single recordings, You're My Baby Now and Going Back on the B-side, and I Could Never Live Without Your Love and Roll Like a River on the B-side. Neither track became a chart success. The project failed, and the group disbanded. Yeah, well, surprising. A band called Tomorrow.
Hey, look, you got to fail sometimes before you succeed.
In 1971, she released her first solo album, If Not For You. The title track, written by Bob Dylan, was her first international hit.
Hey, I wrote for Olivia Newton-John. I'm interminable.
Yes.
I can't understand how I'm such a great folk hero. I can't stand the sound of my voice. I never got him. I'm sorry.
I 100% agree. I feel the same way about like Bruce Springsteen. Like I don't understand why people thought he was popular or
Also,
why they liked him. But
this is silly, but it totally tainted my my view of him. Talk about like don't learn about your heroes or whatever.
Yeah.
So my best friend growing up, Laser Tag Larry.
Yeah, Laser Tag Larry.
We haven't talked about Laser Tag Larry in a while.
Oh, I miss Laser Tag Larry.
Well, poor Larry. I'm so sorry that you're called Laser Tag Larry if you're listening.
Every time.
I should call you Oral Surgeon Larry or, whatever. But so Laser Tag Larry's dad apparently went to college with Bob Dylan. And he came into a party, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And he just started like slamming on the piano and stomping on it. And people were like, get the F out of here. And they ended up kicking him out of the party because he was so obnoxious and such a pain in the ass. And his dad was just like, he was such a jerk. I could not stand him. And all of his Dylan stories which just made me. And granted, he was a punk, he was just a young kid.
Yeah,
and we were all.
yeah.
I was one of the biggest jerks as a kid. But still, it just after hearing that, it fueled my disdain for Mr. Dylan.
I am so not a fan of that guy that comes to the party like with a guitar and just starts playing. It's like, you need to look at me. You need to look at me.
I saw Dylan in the Dead. Because I used to be a pretty big Deadhead back in the day.
That's so bizarre to me, Jim.
Oh, it's bizarre to me, Adam. Trust me. I can't listen. When I hear 3 bars of a Dead say ding, 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 and I want to, nope, I'm out of the room. But I saw quite a few Dead shows as a youth. And I saw Dylan in the Dead. And I just was like, can we just have the Dead?
Yeah.
Do we need Dylan?
Yeah.
I know I'm in the minority on this, people. I know.
I don't disagree with you. I've never been a fan of Dylan. I realize he's talented.
Sure,
but
of course.
I don't
He
get
was
it.
a great voice.
I don't get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, Dylan, the Beach Boys, I hate them both. I know people love them.
I love the Beach Boys, so that I'll be the other side of that coin.
Yeah, please, because, oh, God, I hate the Beach Boys. I hate them more than I hate any other group, I think.
My least favorite group of all time is 311.
Well, okay, but is that really a group? Does that count?
Yeah. I went and saw The Offspring, and The Offspring opened for 311.
Oh, wow.
And literally didn't even stay. I was in the pit, and I was just like, all right, I'm good. I saw The Offspring. I'm going to leave.
It's because their name means KKK, Adam. 311, that's 3 Ks.
Part of it is that their fans, like their hardcore fans, are insane.
Really?
Like they've all seen them like 500 times.
Ugh.
It's like, it's crazy. It's like, this is your identity? This is what you choose to be your identity? All right.
Yeah. They're also, people that follow the Insane Clown Posse around.
That is true. That is true.
Whatever they're called.
Every band out there,
Juggalos, right?
someone
Juggalos.
is yeah. There's always somebody is their biggest fan, and it's scary. Yeah.
When your identity becomes your obsession, then you need to kind of take a step back.
Yeah. In 1972, Newton-John's second UK album, Olivia, was released but never formally issued in the United States, where her career floundered after If Not For You. Her fortune changed with the release of Let Me Be There in 1973. The song reached the American top 10 on the pop charts at number 6, country charts at number 7, and adult contemporary charts at number 3, and earned her a Grammy for Best Country Female and an Academy of Country Music Award for Most Promising Female Vocalist.
Yeah, when she started singing that country part of that song medley.
I literally had no idea that Olivia Newton-John was a country star.
Oh, yeah. She was a lot of things before Grease. That's what's crazy.
It just blows my mind. The next single, I Honestly Love You, became Newton-John's signature song.
I love you. I honestly love you.
God, it was like she's in the room.
I know. Her spirit entered me.
The ballad became her first pop number 1, staying there for 2 weeks, second adult contemporary number 1 for 3 weeks, and third top 10 country hit. I just love that apparently it's all genres. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just weird. I don't think of country and pop as being
Well,
similar.
everything was kind of similar back then, and a lot of songs bounced around the charts because
Yeah.
people were. Country wasn't just a bunch of truck
Yokels?
loving,
Yeah.
divorce hating, America living.
Yeah.
It wasn't all I'm
mean,
proud
it's-
to be an American.
I mean, I could see how like Johnny Cash could like hit the rock charts
Yeah.
or something. Like I totally could see that. yeah.
Totally. It just everything was a little bit more flowy back then.
Yeah.
People, all the kind of, because there was Southern fried rock and there was regular rock and there was, you know.
Yeah. It's just fascinating to me. To me, it just proves how pointless all these lists are and all this.
I mean,
stuff.
look at Dolly Parton. I mean,
Yeah.
all of her songs were chart toppers on every genre.
Yeah. It earned Newton-John 2 more Grammys for Record of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Performance Female. In the United States, Newton-John's success in country music sparked a debate among purists who took issue with a foreigner singing country-flavored pop music being classed with native Nashville artists. Because you gotta be angry about something.
That foreigner. That white
That foreigner. I know. It's
from Australia.
She's got a weird accent.
I don't like her.
In addition to her Grammy for Let Me Be There in 1974, Newton-John was also named the Country Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year, a designation which made her the first British singer to have won the award.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
You old American ain't supposed to go to no foreigner.
Right. The title also meant she defeated more established Nashville-based nominees like Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, and Tanya Tucker.
Oh, it ain't good.
The protest by country music participants led to the formation of the short-lived Association of Country Entertainers.
We're gonna make our own
And
association.
it's known as ACE. This is I find so fun. How dare she? We're just gonna go do our own thing. All right.
You get a life, people.
Yeah, exactly.
If your whole raison d'etre is to poop on the country music whatever association because of Olivia Newton-John, then good Lord. This is
Yeah.
why the 70s was just so a do-nothing decade, because this is what people were concentrating on.
Newton-John was eventually supported by the country music community. Stella Parton, Dolly's sister, recorded Ode to Olivia, and Newton-John recorded her 1976 album Don't Stop Believin' in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
For 45 years, Olivia held the Guinness World Record for the shortest gap, 154 days by a female between number one albums. It was between If You Love Me, Let Me Know, and then Have You Never Been Mellow.
Have you never been mellow? Have you never been?
On the U.S. Billboard 200 album charts until Taylor Swift in 2020 did it with 140 days between Folklore and Evermore,
Oh, is there nothing that old Swifty can't do?
which is also funny because Taylor Swift very much is in the vein of Olivia Newton-John going from country to pop and like, yeah.
She owes a lot to Olivia
She
Newton-John.
does. She definitely does. I'm sure she would probably be the first person to say that.
I don't know.
I know she would.
Then she'd write a song about it.
I have a weird deep respect for Taylor Swift. I don't like her music, but she seems like a very interesting person.
Well, she's a very successful person.
In 1977, Olivia Newton-John's Greatest Hits became her first platinum album. Since Grease made so much money, Xanadu was meant to launch her career as a solo star. She turned down roles in both Can't Stop the Music and the Blues Brothers to star in this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I get-
Blues Brothers.
She would have played Carrie Fisher's part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jake's or Jake. Yeah, Jake was Belushi, right? And
Yes.
Elwood was
the Aykroyd. Yeah.
Yeah, she was Belushi's ex. Really fun role, but not a very big role. I get her turning it down because it was a pretty small supporting part.
Yeah. Due to its complete failure at the American box office, it became the one and only time she received top billing without a co-star in a theatrical release. She wouldn't appear in another big screen musical until Score, a hockey musical, 30 years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Newton-John views Dancing with Gene Kelly as one of the highlights of her career.
It was a great scene.
Oh, that
and
was
oh my God,
fantastic.
that dude in his 60s,
Yeah.
is so
Almost
graceful.
70, yeah.
Good Lord, and it was and she's a really good dancer too. It was just nice to see an old school.
Yeah. Like dance
Tamped
sequence.
it. Yeah,
It was
exactly.
really good.
It was
Yeah.
done very well.
She fractured her coccyx while filming the dance sequence suddenly.
Suddenly, been in emotion.
That wasn't the song. Oh yeah, I was like, that wasn't the song where she was literally just standing there and they were slowly pushing
No.
in.
I don't think so.
That
That would be very embarrassing.
That would be odd if she broke. The one time she tried to get off the platform, she fell
Camera
down.
jib punched her in the crotch.
Newton-John met Matt Lattanzi, who had a minor role during filming. Afterward, Lattanzi accompanied her to Australia on a promotional visit for the film and met her parents.
Aye.
Lattanzi and Newton-John were married in 1984, had one child, Chloe, and divorced in 1995.
All right.
Yeah. Michael Beck was cast as Sonny Malone.
Michael Beck. Oh, poor Michael Beck.
Beck is from Memphis and attended Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi on a football scholarship. After graduating with a degree in economics, he was one of 30 out of 2,500 applicants chosen for London's Central School of Speech and Drama. So he had to have had some kind of talent. I mean, why?
Look, the problem with Michael Beck, and it's not his fault, it's not that he's necessarily a bad actor. I don't think he had any idea what he was doing in this movie.
I don't think
I
he
don't
was
think he had any
directed
good
well.
direction.
Yeah.
But he's also he doesn't have an innate charisma
No.
that a movie star has.
No.
He lucked out by being in The Warriors, which is an amazing movie, great cult movie,
Yeah.
and he was great in it, you know. But it was because he was perfect for that part.
Yeah.
And he did a really good job playing the gang guy and these weird gangs. Oh, the baseballers are coming. Great game too by Rockstar, by the way. But yeah, he just in this movie. Also, you're not getting any favors by having to act against one of the most charismatic humans on the planet.
Yes.
Gene Kelly.
Yes.
Who is just exudes charm and has the most radiant smile of any human being I've ever seen.
Anytime he's on screen, you're just staring at Gene Kelly.
And so it's just and you know, Michael Beck probably is you know, a method actor, Stellar Adler, trained in one of these. You know, he sees himself as like a De Niro or one of these, you know, indie, tough guys or whatever. Not tough guy, but you know what I mean, like a gritty, you know, realistic
kind of a
performer.
realistic,
I gotta play it real, man.
Yeah.
I gotta play it real, man. You got it?
Yeah.
He gets really angry about that stuff. But it's just, and also, it was such a bland part. There was nothing there.
I think that was a lot of it, is that I don't know if Michael Beck is a bad actor. I just think that he needs a lot of help. And there was no script.
No.
There was no direction.
But on the flip side, if they gave it to the Goot, if they gave it to Steve Guttenberg,
Yeah.
I
He
think
would have been
would've
great.
nailed it.
That opening scene where he throws all the stuff out the window, all I could see was Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made for the Goot.
Well, so Beck's stage credits, just to give him a little bit of cred, beginning with college, included Camelot as King Arthur, Of Mice and Men as George Milton, Romeo and Juliet as Tybalt, and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
He had to be good to get those parts.
Yeah.
And look, there is a difference between being a stage actor and a film actor.
Yes.
And a lot of film acting has to do with charm and has to do with presence. And you can have a stage presence and you can be a very great stage actor, but you don't have that oomph or that it factor that makes you, watchable. He just kind of just blended in
He just
to
kind
the
of
scene.
bumbled around and
Everybody around him had a more engaging role. His boss, Simpson, but James Sloyan or whatever.
Sloyan, yeah.
He had the fun lines. Even like
the dude with the glasses and the big hair. Yeah.
I think that was Fred McCarran.
Yeah.
I mean, they all had stuff, and he was just kind of like, I'm going to paint my stuff, and I'm just going to...
I gotta find this girl. I gotta go find this girl.
I gotta find the girl. And it was just... It's just, unfortunately, he's just very generic. He's not remarkably handsome.
I feel like he was given a leg up because he kind of has a similar feel to like Travolta, and like kind of that like Brooklyn-y kind of like, or whatever, like, hey, you're the city guy, and you're
he got a lot of shots, and just unfortunately, and it's not his fault,
right?
He just didn't have that factor that makes you a star.
Yeah. His first feature, as Jim said, was The Warriors in 1979, playing Swan. A ton of people were considered for the part of Sonny. Peter Frampton was one of Olivia Newton-John's top choices for the role.
He would have been great.
Universal wouldn't allow him to be cast due to the critical and commercial failure of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in 1978.
We're going to do that one next week. Well, I understand that, Amon, but
Yeah.
it wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Andy Gibb of the Bee Gees was nixed for the same reason. Yeah. Travolta actually passed because he was working on Urban Cowboy, so they actually wanted him
I'm
for the
doing
part.
Urban Cowboy. I don't want to do it. Hey, I would have did a movie with her.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been good in Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Olivia Newton-John suggested fellow Australian Mel Gibson for the role of Sonny.
Hey, Mel Gibson here. I'm going to do Xanadu.
Joel Silver would eventually work with him on Lethal Weapon and its 3 sequels.
Plus a ton of other movies, too.
Matt Lattanzi actually auditioned for the part before being given a smaller role in the film. Michael Bick didn't have to audition for the part as he had worked with producer Lawrence Gordon on The Warriors. So it seemed like he was kind of the fallback.
Warriors, come out and play.
Oh, I'm so excited whenever we finally cover that. Unfortunately, Beck continued the trend of appearing in bad movies, starring in Megaforce in 1982, directed by Hal Needham and starring Barry Bostwick.
Yeah.
Megaforce. I want to say that I actually think I saw this when I was younger.
I'm sure
I
you
don't
did.
remember.
I'm sure I did.
Warlords of the 21st Century in 1982, also known as Battle Truck, starring Annie McEnroe, James Wainwright, John Ratzenberger, and Bruno Lawrence.
Yeah, John Ratzenberger, hey.
Yeah. Another one that is available on YouTube if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
It looks fascinating. Triumphs of a Man Called Horse in 1983, the second sequel to A Man Called Horse.
So
2 sequels that were unnecessary.
right.
The Golden Seal in 1983, starring Steve Railsback, which I don't know if that's in reference to like a seal or like something you put onto like a piece of paper. I don't know.
I don't know. It might have to do with end times or something.
That's true.
Breaking the seal.
Beck wouldn't appear in another theatrical release feature film after The Golden Seal in 1983.
When you've done a perfect job, it's time to retire.
In 1996, Beck appeared in Forest Warrior, starring Chuck Norris and directed by Norris's brother Aaron Norris.
Hey, it's Chuck Norris here. Yeah, that was kind of like it's a little late to the game, but I decided I was going to do my Rambo ripoff.
The funny thing is that I saw the poster cover and I thought it was a period piece because the way he's dressed. Chuck Norris is dressed on the cover. No, it's not.
I just like a costume.
It's not.
I like a cool costume.
It was released on Deck to Video in the
My
United
beard
States.
will beat you up.
It also has the greatest poster, as I said, of Chuck Norris in period costume and hair, despite the movie being set in present times.
Okay.
The film is perhaps best known for a scene in which Chuck stops a chainsaw by grabbing it with his bare hand.
Which of course, he can do.
Another memorable scene features a logger who air guitars with his chainsaw. This movie is available on YouTube, and it looks like the worst thing I've ever seen, and I am so excited to watch it.
Yeah, I might have to take a look.
Beck had much more success on TV. He was in the 1978 miniseries Holocaust. He played a German Nazi soldier.
Hey, look, I'm a Nazi. I'm going to put you in the gas chambers.
Between 1979 and 1993, he was in 15 TV movies, had a starring role in Houston Nights in 1987, appearing in 30 episodes, and played 2 characters in 1989 and 1990 on Murder, She Wrote.
Good for him.
I mean, he still had a career. It just, wasn't in the features, unfortunately. Starting in 2000.
Well, don't poo-poo on TV.
Oh, no, I'm saying is that, well, I know, but that's the big thing back in the day was like, you could do TV and that's fine, but everybody wanted to be in the big pictures.
Well, you just be thankful you have a career.
I mean, he was obviously making money. He was still working. He had a career. Starting in 2005, Beck started recording audiobooks for author John Grisham, recording 12 Grisham books.
Interesting.
His most current recording is for Trust, Knowing When to Give It, When to Withhold It, How to Earn It, and How to Fix It When It Gets Broken, a Christian self-help book with the longest title ever.
I was going to say, just reading the title would wind him.
Yeah. The last TV show he appeared in was an episode of Jag in 2004. He's still around. He just doesn't really work anymore. He's still doing the last Grisham audiobook he did was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Gene Kelly was cast as Danny McGuire.
Yeah, Gene Kelly.
Oh, my God. And for me, the number one reason to watch Xanadu is Gene Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Kelly grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When he was 8, Kelly's mother enrolled him and his brother James in dance classes along with their sisters. As Kelly recalled, they both rebelled.
We didn't like it much and were continually involved in fistfights with the neighborhood boys, called us sissies. I didn't dance again until I was 15.
Yeah. At one time, his childhood dream was to play shortstop for the hometown Pittsburgh Pirates.
Of course.
By the time he decided to dance, he was an accomplished sportsman and able to defend himself.
Okay.
He entered the Pennsylvania State College as a journalism major, but after the 1929 crash, he left school and found work in order to help his family financially.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know. He created dance routines with his younger brother Fred to earn prize money in local talent contests and performed in local nightclubs. In 1931, Kelly enrolled at the University of Pittsburgh to study economics. He became involved in the university's Cap and Gown Club, which staged original musical productions.
All right.
After graduating in 1933, he continued to be active with the Cap and Gown Club, serving as the director from 34 to 38.
Yeah, now that I got my fists all ready, I can dance.
Kelly was admitted to the University of Pittsburgh Law School. His family opened a dance studio in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh. In 1932, they renamed it the Gene Kelly Studio of the Dance and opened a second location in Johnstown, Pennsylvania in 1933. Kelly served as a teacher at the studio during his undergraduate and law student years at Pitt.
Nice.
Kelly eventually decided to pursue a career as a dance teacher and full-time entertainer, so he dropped out of law school after 2 months. He increased his focus on performing and later said,
With time, I became disenchanted with teaching because the ratio of girls to boys was more than 10 to 1. And once the girls reached 16, the dropout rate was very high.
yeah.
All right. It seems like he's protesting a bit too much
yeah.
about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Kelly tried his hand as a choreographer in New York, but eventually returned back to Pittsburgh. There he started stage acting, appearing in a number of shows, dancing, choreographing, and acting. Eventually, this led to Broadway producers noticing him, and he started getting work on Broadway.
Nice.
The irony of like being in New York and then going to Pittsburgh and then getting work in Broadway.
Yeah. It's how it always works.
Welcome to
It's
show
always weird.
business. Yeah. In 1940, he got the lead role in Rodgers and Hart's musical Pal Joey. This role propelled him to stardom. During its run, he told reporters,
I don't believe in conformity to any school of dancing. I create what the drama and the music demand. While I am 100% for the ballet technique, I only use what I can adapt to my own use. I never let technique get in the way of mood or continuity.
His colleagues at this time noticed his great commitment to rehearsal and hard work. Van Johnson, who appeared in Pal Joey, recalled,
I watched him rehearsing, and it seemed to me that there was no possible room for improvement. Yet, he wasn't satisfied. It was midnight. We had all been rehearsing since 8 in the morning. I was making my way sleepily down the long flight of stairs when I heard staccato steps coming from the stage. I could see just a single lamp burning. Under it, a figure was dancing. Gene.
he was a perfectionist, hardcore.
Yeah. Well, relax, Gene.
It paid off.
Yeah, the guy makes it look effortless.
Yeah. Offers from Hollywood began to arrive, but Kelly was in no hurry to leave New York. Eventually, he signed with David O. Selznick, agreeing to go to Hollywood at the end of his commitment to Pal Joey in October of 1941. Selznick sold half of Gene Kelly's contract to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer to MGM for his first motion picture, For Me and My Gal, in 1942, starring Judy Garland. Kelly said he was
Appalled at the sight of myself blown up 20 times, I had an awful feeling that I was a tremendous flop.
For Me and My Gal actually performed very well.
Yes, I wasn't a flop.
No. It's also weird. I still find it very odd that back in the day, they were essentially just contracts. Mm-hmm. Like, you were a contract.
Yeah.
And I could sell your contract to another studio, and it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, well, that's how everybody started. Harrison Ford started as a contract player.
Yeah.
You get like $300 a week, and you just do whatever movie they tell you to do.
Wow, that's crazy. He achieved a significant breakthrough as a dancer on film when MGM lent him to Columbia to work with Rita Hayworth in CoverGirl in 1944, a film that foreshadowed the best of his future work. In CoverGirl, his character's name was Danny McGuire, heavily implying that his character in Xanadu is the same person.
What?
Yeah. And Kelly's next film, Anchors Away, in 1945, MGM gave him a free hand to devise a range of dance routines, including his duets with co-star Frank Sinatra and an animated dance with Jerry Mouse of Tom and Jerry, the animation for which was supervised by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera.
It's such a great scene. It's
is
like that and his singing in the rain dance
Yeah,
are probably
yeah.
his two most iconic dance scenes.
Anchors Away became one of the most successful films in 1945, and Kelly was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Nice.
In October 1944, Kelly was inducted into the U.S. Navy after having a deferment in 1940. He was placed in the photography unit, making documentaries for the Navy, which spurred his interest in getting behind the camera when the war ended. In 1949, he started his directing career, co-directing On the Town, the first of many movies with Stanley Donen.
Nice.
He starred in American in Paris in 1951, directed by Vincente Minnelli, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Was Eliza Minnelli's husband?
I think it was her father.
Oh, yeah, her father.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 1952, he co-directed with Stanley Donen and starred in Singin' in the Rain, which at the time was only a modest box office success, but since has been regarded as the greatest musical film ever made.
I'm singing in the rain.
Such a good movie.
Just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm happy again.
Later in the 1950s, as musicals waned in popularity, he starred in Brigadoon in 1954 and It's Always Fair Weather in 1955, the last film he directed with Donen. His solo directorial debut was Invitation to the Dance in 1956, one of the last MGM musicals which was not a commercial success.
Yeah, it kind of...
It had fizzled out.
Yeah,
at that point.
they had saturated the market.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just like so many different genres just disappear. There used to be swimming movies with Esther Williams, who...
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah, that was like a...
They had these giant pools and did all these...
There was like in the 30s that they were everywhere.
Yeah, and that just wrestling movies were really big. They did tons of wrestling movies, and just so many genres just disappeared.
Yeah. He continued as a director in the 1960s with his credits including A Guide for the Married Man in 1967 and Hello, Dolly in 1969, starring Walter Matthau and Barbra Streisand.
Hello, Dolly. I said hello, Dolly. Hi, Adam.
God. The film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It lost Best Picture, but won 3 others.
Nice.
He starred in the poorly received action film Viva Knievel in 1977 with the then high-profile stuntman Evel Knievel.
Viva Knievel.
It's also considered to be one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh, we're definitely covering it. Evel Knievel was just a phenomena.
Yeah. Xanadu would be his last film role. In Kelly's opinion...
The concept was marvelous, but it just didn't come off.
Kelly's health declined steadily in the late 1980s and early 1990s. In July 94, he suffered a stroke and stayed in Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center Hospital for 7 weeks. Yeah, that's a long time. In early 95, he had another stroke, which made him severely disabled, and he finally passed away on February 2nd, 1996.
Oh, so that means he had like a year of hell.
Yeah. He didn't. I think he stopped in movies. I mean, because he had 16 years there where he didn't do any movies.
Sure.
He had some. They did. He hosted the That's Entertainment in the 2 sequels, which appeared in the 80s and early 90s. But otherwise, no, he didn't do anything. I'm sure he was just. He seemed very with this movie, like the sequence he danced with Olivia Newton-John. Like they filmed it after the main filming was done, and he only allowed 3 other people to be on set.
Oh,
the director, the cameraman, and then an assistant or something. But I think he was very self-conscious because he was older and didn't think he'd be able to actually perform properly.
He did great. It was the best scene in the movie.
He looked fantastic. He's so good. He's just so good. Matt Lattanzi was cast as the young Danny McGuire. He literally the only scene he was in the just before the dancing where they're ghosty and he's doing the memory. Gene Kelly's doing the memory and he's miming the saxophone or clarinet or whatever. And then the little guy in the back who's with Olivia Newton-John, that's Matt Lattanzi.
Nice. He was also in another scene too, wasn't he?
He was a dancer.
Yeah.
He did appear as a dancer. Yeah. Xanadu was Lattanzi's first film. In addition to the minor role playing a young Danny McGuire, he was also a dancer. He was in Rich and Famous in 1981, starring Jacqueline Bisset and Candice Bergen.
I remember that.
It was director George Cukor's final film. He made an appearance in Grease 2 in 1982, not starring his then girlfriend Olivia Newton-John.
No, that starred
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle
Pfeiffer, yes. In 1983, he appeared in the modest hit My Tutor with Crispin Glover and Karen Kay as a high school student trying to lose his virginity.
Keep your hands off her.
No, wrong movie, Jim.
I saw that. My Tutor is such a weird movie.
Yeah.
And Crispin Glover is so weird in it. I love Crispin Glover. I love Crispin Glover in... which Friday the 13th is he in? Is it like 2 or 3?
No, I think it's like 4 or something.
Maybe. It might be the one with Corey Feldman.
It's the one with Corey Feldman.
Where it is. Like, the twins.
Yeah, they're at the cabin and like everyone...
Such an awkward...
He's like... Yeah, it's so bizarre.
I love him so much. I just watched a clip of the interview that got him banned from Letterman when he was like, I can kick.
High kicks?
I can kick.
Yeah.
And Letterman's like, okay, great. Let's go to commercial.
I went to the Egyptian Theater and saw one of his movies he directed. He fully admits that he does all these high profile movies just so he can then make his weird independent stuff.
Yeah, he's like Cassavetes.
Every single actor had Down syndrome, except for the main guy who couldn't even, like, he was literally in a bed because he couldn't get out of the bed. But Crispin Glover plays like Satan, and it's just about this girl trying to find her pet snail.
Yes, but he also likes to. He likes to do films about people that aren't normally seen in film.
Yes,
and, he's a very interesting guy, and a very peculiar man.
Yeah.
His house is supposed to be amazing. It's just like this old-timey Hollywood.
My buddy Jeremy, who directed Carnival of Souls, the remake of Carnival of Souls, Crispin Glover starred in it, and there was a great moment. I was producing something with Jeremy. We were driving over the Hollywood Hills in his convertible, and he gets a phone call. It was Crispin Glover, and he just talks to Crispin Glover for like 10 minutes, and then hangs up, and I was like, dude, you should put him on speakerphone, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love Crispin Glover. He's fascinating. He's such a weirdo, but he's wonderful.
He is.
Yeah. So Matt Lattanzi also appeared in That's Life in 1986, starring Jack Lemmon and Julie Andrews.
That's Life.
Roxanne in 1987, starring Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah.
Ah, such a great movie.
Great movie. In 1989, he had the leading role in Catch Me If You Can, also starring Lorraine Lachlan, Grant Heslov, Jeffrey Lewis, and M. Emmett Walsh.
Not to be confused with Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks.
No.
Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yes. The film was the feature film directorial debut of writer and director Stephen Sommers, with a soundtrack by Tangerine Dream.
Oh, they did great work.
Such good work.
They did the soundtrack for Risky Business.
They did. And for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, yeah.
He was a huge flop, making less than $4,000 off an $800,000 budget.
Good Lord.
Lattanzi stopped getting work after this. Surprise, surprise. He took a job as a contractor for a home building company in California.
Good.
Yeah.
Pivot.
In 1983, he and his wife, Olivia Newton-John, moved to Australia so he could audition for the Australian soap opera Paradise Cove.
Paradise Cove.
He ended up winning a 6-month contract on the show. Lattanzi and Newton-John divorced in April of 1995.
Yeah, after he had his success in soaps.
In 2008, Lattanzi briefly appeared on the MTV reality series Rock the Cradle, supporting his daughter Chloe, who was a contestant on the show. That same year, Lattanzi, a lifelong environmentalist, was reported to be living off the grid near Malibu, California.
All right.
He now resides in Portland, Oregon. They also heavily imply that he might be behind the disappearance of the guy that Olivia Newton-John got involved with after the divorce.
Oh.
He apparently went hiking somewhere and disappeared. And
Yikes.
nobody knows what happened to him.
Matt Lattanzi might.
James Sloyan was Simpson.
Allegedly.
Yeah, well, allegedly, yes. James Sloyan was cast as Simpson, Michael Beck's boss, rocking that awesome beard.
No, he's in everything.
Yeah, Sloyan's television career includes numerous brief appearances on daytime dramas The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, and Ryan's Hope, and guest appearances on primetime series
Wonder Woman, Baywatch, Quantum Leap, The X-Files, MacGyver, Party of 5, Matlock, Murder, She Wrote, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Buck Rogers and the 25th Century, Star Trek, The Next Generation, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek, Voyager.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that the producers of Star Trek would just go back to all the time.
Yeah, he also just showed up on everything, and he usually played a jerk.
Yeah.
Like he did in this movie. He
Yeah.
was kind of a jerk.
Although, as you said yesterday, he was kind of in the right.
He's not a jerk. Look, Sonny was hired to do a job, to paint giant versions of album covers to his promotional things. And look, man, if I made an album cover, if I was the guy who made an album cover, and then Sonny Malone with his airy, arty ways decides to change up my cover.
Right.
F you, buddy.
Yeah.
I did this cover. You're just supposed to copy this cover.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to editorialize,
Or
Sonny.
You spend 3 weeks trying to paint a woman that should just take a day.
Yeah, come on.
Like,
I'm totally with Simpson on this one. Simpson!
After being the voice of Lexus in numerous ad campaigns, James Sloyan is now the voice of Mitsubishi at the age of 83.
Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Does anybody drive these cars anymore?
Honestly, I don't know. You never see Mitsubishis anywhere.
I thought Mitsubishi folded. I own 2 Mitsubishis. I had
Did you?
2 Eclipses.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently they're still out there. Maybe they're big in the foreign market.
Well, I think they make like little SUVs and stuff.
No, yeah, that probably. Demetra Arliss was cast as Helen. Arliss, a stage actor, made her feature film debut in The Ski Bum, starring Zalman King and Charlotte Rampling.
Okay.
She appeared in The Sting in 1973, starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford, A Perfect Couple in 1979, directed by Robert Altman, and in Firefox in 1982, directed and starring Clint Eastwood.
All good movies. Firefox is so weird. I think it's Steve Martin. I think it's Clint Eastwood trying to steal a plane.
Yeah,
an experimental plane or something.
It's super weird. She made numerous guest appearances on TV. Her longest stint was 8 episodes on Mary Hart and Mary Hartman in 1977. She guest starred in 2 episodes of the animated Spider-Man series in 1995. Her final role was in the 2000 film Bless the Child, starring Kim Basinger, Jimmy Smits, and Christina Ricci.
Yeah, about some end of the world baby or something.
Yeah. She died in 2012 at the age of 79 with complications of a stroke.
No.
The producers. Let's talk about some other actors first before.
Yeah, just there's a few other actors. You would know Fred McCarran, who played Richie. He was in a bunch of stuff. Also, Sandal Bergman played Muse #1. You may know her from such films as Red Sonja and Conan the Barbarian.
That's so funny.
But she was a big action star in the 80s. But she was
shortly after this, yeah.
but she was she started out as a dancer.
Yeah.
So she was in a bunch of stuff. Also, and they don't credit him, but Joe Mantegna apparently was in this.
Yeah, maybe he was a dancer?
He was probably an extra. Joe Mantegna looked so different when he was younger.
Yeah.
He just kind of looked like he kind of looked Hispanic a bit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I think he played a lot of Hispanic characters
He did.
in his earlier career, which is really interesting. And then there was Coral Brown, I'm sorry.
Coral Brown.
Who played Hera, probably.
Hera, the voice of Hera.
And then, of course, Wilfred Hyde White, who we know from Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, playing the Buck. I see. We'll get you on this. And he was Zeus. He was the voice of Zeus, which is so stupid. So the conceit of the movie is, the muses. Greek mythology, those muses, and they help guys and girls get their artistic stuff going, and they're different muses for different things.
One muse, one dream.
One muse enters to me. But so the muses pop out of this mural, the muse mural, and they go Zippin-Tron style all over the world,
all over the world,
all over the world, and so Olivia Newton-John is a muse, and so she goes to muse Michael Beck.
Sonny.
But
she literally roller skated up to him and then just kissed him and left.
Right. And he's like, what happened?
Well, that stuff you can't do today.
Well, and you're not supposed to fall in love as a muse, Adam.
Oh, that's true. She did. She broke the
rules.
the
cardinal muse rules.
Yeah.
And you're just supposed to help move on. But she didn't. She fell in love. And so,
with Michael
Beck,
the most unbelievable part of the movie.
And apparently also fell in love with Gene Kelly back in the day.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't I know you? And she's like, no, you don't. And he's like, well, you look exactly like the woman in this picture that I dated and then disappeared on me. But we're not going to make that connection.
I love the fact that Michael Beck, when he gets into that big room and Gene Kelly's showing him like, oh, look, I'm going to play stuff that I was in. And he has this picture, and it's obviously her. And then it just is like, oh, I'm distracted by something else, and just puts it away.
Like, I know her.
Yeah.
But listen to this. That's me.
Despite the fact that he was trying to find her, and literally there was a connection there. Okay.
Well, a whole bunch of crap happens in the movie, and then she disappears because she's got to go back, to heaven or whatever, where all the gods live.
Weird
Olympus, right?
Blank space that then is filled with
the weird
neon
Tron,
lights.
Strange. She basically lives in an ELO album cover.
Yes.
So Michael Beck, he ain't gonna let this stand. Sonny's not gonna let this stand. He's got to find his lady. He's got to find Kira. Yeah. So he finds the mural that he allegedly painted, but we're not sure anymore. And then
my favorite scene in the whole
totally
movie.
Wile E. Coyotes it, baby.
The build up to it's so great. I was like, oh man, I want to see him hit that wall so hard. And he didn't.
He
just went
goes
whoosh.
running right through into the ELO album cover, and then he's like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And then, no, you can't go down there because that's not how it's done. So Zeus is like, no. Puts the kibosh on it.
Yeah, you can't.
Then he leaves, and then Hera's like, come on, give her a moment. Just give her a little moment.
Yeah.
Okay, I say, my moment, I'll give her a moment. And then he does. And then she goes back, and she sings a medley of every different genre of music that there ever was, and then disappears again.
Yeah.
So she gets her moment. But I love him. It was so great to hear his voice.
Oh, he's so great.
Because he was so good in The Toy, and he's just like one of these underrated British actors that,
He's so good.
so charming.
His voice is so distinctive.
So distinct.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Oh, hey.
Hi, Colonel Belvedere
Hey,
here.
what's up?
From 25th Century. I just wanted I heard a couple of mentions. My ears were burning because you mentioned Puck Rogers. We had a guest star who was very nice. Who was that guest star you talked about?
That was James Sloyan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, James.
Pretty sure he played a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, not in real life he didn't. He brought biscuits and gravy for everybody on the
wow.
set. Yeah. You haven't had biscuits and gravy until you had them 25th century style. They put in chilies.
Oh.
Yeah, little green chilies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it gives it a pop. Anyway, I just wanted to say that Wilfred Hyde White, even though the second season was so wildly different than the first, he was just a pleasure to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
He's
was
nice
a little
guy.
handsy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, he
that
was-
was just old school.
He was an old. Maybe he just needed help standing up. He was old man.
That's what he said. I was saying, I'm falling. Boy, you're falling into my boobs. Anyway, gotta get back.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. It's always nice when she stops
It
by.
is. Yeah, I love her.
I also do want to see the deleted scene where after he goes through the wall, they show a bunch of homeless people from Venice hanging out because they fell through the wall by accident.
Right, exactly.
Oh, but I love James Hyde White. Is this? No, what's his name?
Yes, Wilfred.
Wilfred.
Hyde
Hyde
White.
White. He's so good. I remember him the most from The Toy, which is one of the
yeah.
last movies he did. But that is the butler in The Toy.
He was great. Also, just the one other character actor that you would totally know is Stephen Perlman. He played the foreman. He if you saw his face, you would instantly recognize him from
Yeah.
1,000 different things. So
Yeah.
there was just a bunch of unsung heroes in there.
Yeah. The producer scored when they convinced ELO to contribute music to the film.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
I love ELO.
Apart from the title track, none of Electric Light Orchestra songs were composed specifically for the film, but had in fact already been written as potential ELO recordings by Jeff Lynne.
Well, Jeff Lynne was a lazy man, and that's what he did.
He was so lazy, he wrote all the music before the movie was even made.
He was he was clairvoyant.
Yeah.
He'd be like, guys, I have a vision. We're going to be asked to do the soundtrack for a horrible movie. It's going to be sort of a cult classic later on in life. But when we do it, we're going to be totally panned.
They also hired Cliff Richard, who worked with Olivia Newton-John a number of times, and the Tubes to collaborate with Newton-John on new music.
Oh, the Tubes.
Oh my God,
I
that
totally
sequence is
forgot about
great.
it. It is great. And I loved the Tubes as a kid, but I just forgot the Tubes even existed.
I also want to point out Cliff Richard is not very big here in the States, but he's huge in the UK. He's considered to have written the first rock and roll song in the UK in 1958. But he is the only people that have outsold him in the UK were the Beatles and I believe Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Anyway, he's a huge star that nobody here's ever heard of. The animated segment was added after filming ended when they realized they needed an extra original song for the movie, and it was cheaper to hire Don Bluth to animate than shoot live actors.
Nice.
The nightclub set cost $1 million to build.
I just want to point out on the animated sequence, the saddest thing about that was the animated version of Michael Beck was so much more captivating.
He was.
Than the real Michael Beck. I'm sorry, Michael Beck, but they didn't do you any justice in
They
this
did
movie.
not. They did not. The film underperformed at the box office, making only $23 million against a reported $20 million budget.
Well, I was one of those tickets.
The soundtrack album, however, was a major hit. It reached number 2 in the UK and number 4 in the US.
Watching this movie, elicited so many memories of me listening to, probably on cassette tape,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
my Walkman, the Xanadu soundtrack, because all of those songs I was singing along with, because I just instantly remembered them. And so the funniest thing about watching these old movies that I fell in love with as a child is I saw all of these movies before I damaged my brain with drinking substances and things. And I have like total effing recall of all of these things. Like if I watch the Happy Days or Laverne and Shirley or whatever,
Yeah.
I'll know the exact episode. I can recite the dialogue of the
Wow.
episode because it was that stuff is just so ingrained in me.
Wow.
And even though I have not thought about Xanadu or the Xanadu soundtrack in probably 35 years, man, I just remembered every single one of those songs.
It was the album was huge. It was really big in 1980, but it was even bigger in 1981. It actually got to number 4 in 1980, like a year and a half after the movie was released.
Oh yeah.
It was huge.
Well, because they kept releasing singles.
Yeah, it
and,
was-
and nobody knew what was coming next because nobody saw the movie.
It was certified double platinum in the U.S. and gold in the U.K. and also spent 1 week atop the Cashbox and Record World Pop Albums charts. The soundtrack contained 5 top 20 singles: Magic by Olivia Newton-John.
Have to believe that it's magic.
That was number 1 on the pop charts for 4 weeks, number 1 on the adult contemporary for 5 weeks.
Yeah, my favorite.
And
Adult contemporary.
It was certified gold, yes. It was her biggest hit up to that point.
Actually, I do love adult contemporary, and I love
actually love it too.
I also love that that's what it's called.
I know. Xanadu, Olivia Newton, written by Olivia Newton-John and ELO, went to number 8 on the pop charts for a week.
Xanadu, wow, 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 wow.
It got to number 2 on the adult contemporary for a week and number 1 in the UK for 2 weeks. All Over the World by ELO got to number 13 on the pop charts and number 45 on the adult contemporary.
All over the world.
That was when the muses come out.
World.
They were
Yeah, I think
turning
so.
into light and flashing around.
Bum, bum, bum,
Oh,
bum,
no,
bum,
wait,
bum,
no,
bum,
or
bum,
was
bum,
that
bum, 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 bum,
I'm
bum,
Alive?
bum, bum, bum.
I think I'm Alive was that song.
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
Yeah, that was by ELO. Got
I'm
to
alive.
number 16 and number 48 on the pop charts and number 48 on the adult contemporary. It was also certified gold.
Yeah, certified
And-
gold, baby.
And then Suddenly by Olivia Newton-John and Cliff Richard, which got to number 20 on the pop charts and number 4 on the adult contemporary charts.
Suddenly,
That was when
the
they
wheels
were.
are in motion.
That was when they were doing this super sexy skate dance thing.
What is it? Oh, it's suddenly the wheels are in motion, and I will cross any ocean for you. Oh,
Universal actually canceled press screenings, suggesting they were not confident in the film, and it went on to receive negative reviews.
Yeah, okay.
Variety called it.
A stupendously bad film whose only salvage is the music.
Roger Ebert gave the film 2 stars out of a possible 4, describing the film as
A mushy and limp musical fantasy.
with a confused story redeemed only by Newton-John's
High spirits.
and several strong scenes from Kelly. Moreover, Ebert criticizes choreography, saying
The dance numbers in this movie do not seem to have been conceived for film.
he noted that mass dance scenes were not photographed well by cinematographer Victor J. Kemper, who shot at eye level and failed to pick up the larger patterns of dancers, with dancers in the background muddying the movement of the foreground.
I don't know. I still think they did a better job than The Wiz.
I would agree.
At least they were all in sequence.
Yeah.
At least they were all at
They
the
all
same
danced,
timing. Yeah.
Janet Maslin wrote in her review,
Like The Wiz, Xanadu is desperately stylish without having any real style.
a double feature of Xanadu and another musical released a couple months earlier, Can't Stop the Music, inspired John J.B. Wilson to create the Golden Raspberry Awards,
Nice.
also known as the Razzies, for an annual event dishonoring what is considered the worst in cinema for a given year.
I think they're stopping that. I think they stopped.
I think they've stopped it now.
Well, I think they did something really
they got-
crappy. They gave it
got
to some
really
kid
mean.
or something, and it's just like, don't pick
Yeah.
on kids.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Exactly. Greenwald won the first Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Director, and the film was nominated for 6 other awards.
Nice.
Beck actually received a Razzie nom for Worst Actor and another nom the following year for Megaforce.
Megaforce.
Over the years, the film has developed a cult following.
Yes, because it is so weird. It's look, it's like Bugsy Malone
Yeah,
or like The Wiz. It's just these great car wrecks that you can't look away from.
Yeah.
But there's also great music. You have Gene Kelly, who rises above
amazing.
the everything in this film. and
so
still
good.
has an impeccable performance. He's so likable.
I could have watched 100 minutes of him just sitting at that booth and talking to Michael
Yes.
Beck. Like, I could have.
Such a good chemistry with Olivia Newton-John, and they dance so well together. That dance sequence is worth watching it.
68 years old, and
Yeah.
that man is more fluid than most people.
Exactly. Look, there are, like I said, have some friends over, have some drinks, make some margaritas, and sing along and have fun with this movie.
Yeah,
It's a ridiculous fun romp, but it's made to be enjoyed. I'm really surprised that this hasn't become, kind of a cult hit like Rocky Horror Picture Show or something where people
Yeah.
see it in the movie and
Go
act
and watch it
along
and
or sing
yeah.
along, because it just seems like it has that energy to it.
Right.
That
Right.
it's ridiculous that you can lovingly make fun of it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
still really enjoy it
Yeah.
and enjoy the music. I just think that we have 100% cemented the fact that I had horrible taste as a child. I don't even know if I would call it taste. I was a consumer.
Yeah.
But I will argue that all of these films this month, even though they're not the best of the bunch that we've done, there are things that are worthwhile in all of these movies, whether it's Michael Jackson's amazing
Yeah.
performance in The Wiz or Gene Kelly's amazing performance in Xanadu, or Olivia Newton-John, just watching her and
so good.
listening to her sing, or the great ELO soundtrack, or just watching poor Michael Beck
Watching
kind of
him flop and fail.
flounder
in this
around
role.
in this movie, just not knowing.
There he is, skating as intense as he can.
Just the scenes. The thing is the scenes with Gene Kelly and Michael Beck. It looks like Michael Beck's just really nervous to be on screen with Gene Kelly.
Don't blame him.
Which I would be, I guess, but it's almost like they're acting in two different movies.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Michael Beck movie is a porno, and that's the kind of level of acting that we're getting from him. And look,
no.
I will give Michael Beck 100% props forever for The Warriors. Great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor, and he came from good stock, but unfortunately, he came at the wrong time. If he would have popped early in the 70s, he would have had a much bigger career, because he would have popped along, along Pacino and
Yeah,
Cazale and all of these guys that aren't necessarily Hollywood good looking, but have this kind of
Yeah.
streets feel to
Yeah,
them. If
yeah.
if
Streets feel, it's a good way of putting it, yeah.
lack of a better term. But he came around at the end of all that, and people were kind of done with the hairy,
Yeah.
you know.
We don't want to see the streets people anymore.
Exactly. They wanted movie stars again.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what doomed his career. It's
Yeah.
just bad timing.
Well,
honestly.
and honestly, he was just in a series of bad movies.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't, which wasn't his fault.
No.
I mean, he got cast and stuff, but then it was like badly directed.
And he's got
badly
really
shot.
good moments in this too.
He does.
He's got charming moments
does.
and fun moments. It's just I don't think that he was directed well, and I don't think he really knew. I don't think anybody. When you're doing
Nobody.
a movie when you don't have a script done,
Yeah.
you don't really know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
if you're the star, like Gene Kelly, it makes sense. Come in, dance. Come in, do
Yeah.
the club. Come in, everything
Yeah.
has motivation or whatever. And I'm sure that when he was on set, it was the most professional,
Oh, yeah.
the most professional days of the shoot. Because you
Yeah.
don't want to f with Gene Kelly. But I think Michael Beck, where he was on the set on days where it's like, well, what do you guys think we should do?
Yeah.
know?
Well, we had a script, but we just tore it all up. So let's just let's just make something up. Just make something up.
Exactly. But if you haven't seen it, it's totally a fun movie to watch.
I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure that Gene Kelly. I don't think he was roller skating before this movie, but watching him roller skate, he is so joyous and so happy.
Man, it's just he exudes joy and personality and charisma,
Yeah.
and talent, and he's an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Even the worst movie in the world can't stop him from being completely
no.
lovable and talented. And not that this is the worst movie in the world. It's just it is the birth of cocaine in cinema, and this was fueled by like 80% cocaine,
Yeah.
I believe. Because again, like we said, this is the perfect movie that changes the guard from the 70s
Yeah.
to the 80s.
Yeah.
And it had the problem is again timing. It had the parts of the 70s that people were over.
Yeah.
Disco, roller disco.
Yeah.
The disco roller disco club which nobody was going to.
Yeah, which stopped. Yeah.
But then it had like the fashion and the hairdos, but it was before the time that the fashion and the hairdos were really that radical.
Yeah.
And then, the music was it was at the end of that era.
Yeah.
And so it just had a lot of historical problems, script problems, direction problems.
Yeah.
But it's one of those great bad films, which is truly fun to watch and is truly a great guilty pleasure and is truly a great cult hit, which is something that is still super enjoyable to watch, faults and all.
It's a bad film that you can rewatch. Like Plan 9 from Outer Space is a bad movie, and I saw it once, and I tried showing it to a friend, and I literally 20 minutes into it was like, I can't watch this anymore. It's terrible.
No, but this is fun, and it's got such great music and such exuberant performances.
Well, so because of the music, a $5 million Broadway musical adaptation of the same name began previews in May of 2007 and opened with Olivia Newton-John in attendance on July 10th.
Nice.
In the musical, Kira is the muse Cleo, not Terpsichore. Jackie Hoffman and Mary Testa co-starred in a plot twist new to the Broadway version as evil muse sisters. The show, which humorously parodied the plot of the film, was a surprise hit, receiving praise for its satirical approach and was nominated for several Tony Awards.
Nice. I think if you lovingly satirize something, it's always great.
The original cast recording was released on December of 2007.
I'd like to hear that.
The Broadway production closed on September 28th, 2008 after 49 previews and 512 performances.
It's a good run.
That is a great run. A successful national tour followed. Douglas Carter Bean, who wrote the book for the musical based on the film later called Xanadu.
What happens when you let straight men near the musical? I blame cocaine. It's like people say, when you hear Ray Charles play, you can hear the heroin. When you watch Xanadu, you can see the cocaine up on the screen.
Not a more accurate statement has been said.
No, but in a good way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the whole time, the movie, I kept turning and looking at Jim and being like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But I will say, 24 hours later, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, still singing the songs. Still, look, I took a walk right after we watched the movie. I popped on my ELO album and listened to some of my favorite ELO songs. There was this innocence, this weird optimistic innocence in a lot of late 70s stuff and these musicals that's infectious. That's what keeps these as cult hits, is because there's a relentless positivity to Xanadu that goes all the way to the end. Same with The Wiz, and I don't know. I haven't seen Sgt. Pepper's since I was a child. We'll find out. I just remember being so sad and just crying my eyes out.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was very sad.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Wow. That totally changes my thoughts about this movie.
Well, I just in one part, and then it ends up being okay, I think. But it was just like I was very deeply invested in that movie. I'm very curious to see it.
Oh my
again.
God, I've never seen it. I'm so excited to see it.
I love that movie. But I love this movie. I'm not a big musical fan now, but as a kid, anything with the music that I enjoyed, and I loved ELO back then.
Yeah.
I think I ended up getting the album just because I thought that the cover was so cool.
Oh, yeah.
With the spaceship.
Yeah.
That was a great double album, man. I love that album. But it's just, these are fun, silly, dumb movies that probably if we weren't covering them, most people wouldn't even remember them.
Yeah. And
I guarantee you that 90% of you out there have no idea that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band even existed.
Yeah.
But we're going to get you to watch it, baby.
Oh, yeah, we are.
We're going to get you to watch it. And that's what's coming up next week. Do yourself a favor, like we said, get some margaritas or some tequila sunrise, some fun, colorful drink, Mai Tais.
Yeah.
It's your pick. Maybe a couple of edibles if you do that thing, a couple of gummies. And then just have your buddies over, order some food, have some drinks. And you could do this, and The Wiz is a great double feature.
Yeah.
And just have fun.
Yes.
This is what these movies are about, is just plainly having fun.
Yeah.
Have fun, people. It's a hilarious. It's back when We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Holmes and Yo-Yo, already in progress.